if you're picked to be on a jury, don't worry about it, because you're going to find it interesting, and you'll see how the criminal justice system works in this country.
California, the greatest state in the Union. Our state is a place of great natural beauty, harmony even. But not always. We have disputes. We have crime. We need to resolve these conflicts with justice, upholding what is right and correcting what is wrong.
Yes, Your Honor, we do have a verdict.
Justice requires decisions that affect people's lives.
All rise.
I think the most dramatic part on serving on a jury is when you have to walk back into the courtroom and you have to face the prosecution, the defense, the judge, and the defendant, and you have to say either guilty or not guilty.
But who should make these decisions? Who can decide fairly without seeking personal gain? Who can make decisions without any personal bias? Who can be impartial and weigh the evidence with an even hand?
Falsely claims occurred on January 1st of this year.
Many times, we don't trust any one official, or politician, or expert, or any other single individual to decide the case. Whether it's a civil trial or a criminal trial, there are times when no one person should have so much power. Instead, we trust in the community to make the right decision. This is our democratic ideal: to truly impart justice that is of the people, by the people, and for the people.
I feel our system is a bit better than other countries. You get to go to trial.
We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice.
So important is trial by jury that it is described 3 times in the Constitution of 1789 and the Bill of Rights of 1791. Never again will we be judged by powers beyond our control.
If I was ever on trial, I think that this process works. I think that I would love to have the jury that I served on, because I thought that every single one of them really listened to what was being said.
Today, jurors may be drawn from all segments of the community.
You don't want somebody who's a professional juror. You want someone, an individual, who brings their life experiences to the jury.
We're all different, and we're all coming together.
Most courts have started using the one-day or one-trial system. When called, you need to report for jury duty only once. If chosen to be a juror, you'll serve for the length of one trial. Afterwards, you won't be required to serve on a jury for at least another 12 months. Democracy is made real every day by thousands of jurors across our country, in both civil cases and criminal cases. You may be asked to serve on a civil case to decide a dispute between 2 or more parties. Or it may be a criminal case to decide whether the accused is guilty or not guilty of the charges made. What does it take? Common sense, fairness, and impartiality. You don't need any prior knowledge of the law or special training to be a juror.
I was scared. I didn't know what I would be getting myself into. I had to wait around. I brought a book, so it wasn't bad at all.
There are 3 stages for jurors: jury selection, the trial stage, when statements, evidence, and arguments are presented, and jury deliberations to make a decision.
Remain seated and come to order. Department 4 is now in session.
In the courtroom, the judge presiding over the trial and the court staff will give you any guidance needed. The court clerk is in charge of keeping all the documents, records, and physical evidence for the trial, and organizing the jurors. The bailiff, deputy, or court attendant assures that the process is orderly and safe, and will be your liaison for any problems or questions that might come up. The court reporter takes down everything said as an official record.
Raise your right hand. You and each of you do solemnly swear that...
Jury selection starts with your promising to be truthful.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Before we start the jury...
The judge tells you about the claims or charges being made. This information allows you and the court to determine if you have any bias or prior opinion in this particular case, or towards the individuals involved, or if there is anything about the facts of the case that might prevent you from being fair and impartial.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we start selecting the jury in this matter, we need to know some basic information from you.
If you have any questions about your privacy or confidentiality, you can always ask the judge.
I don't know anybody in this case. I've never seen anyone here before.
Ma'am, I need to ask you about any...
The attorneys want the best jury possible for their case. They may ask you about your personal thoughts and experiences.
No, that wouldn't bother me at all.
Thank you, ma'am. Juror number 6.
I'm a salesman for a large pharmaceutical company. I'm married.
I think it's fairly difficult for people to come into a jury and not have some bias. But I look at, there's the issue of bias and there's the issue of trying to keep an open mind.
The attorneys may excuse individuals as prospective jurors for their case using rules set by law.
Sir, thank you for your honesty. Your Honor, as a peremptory challenge, we would thank and excuse juror number 6.
It's nothing personal. It's a process of forming a jury panel mutually agreed by all parties in the case.
Raise your right hand. You and each of you do solemnly swear that you will well and truly try the cause now pending...
For a criminal case, there are 12 jurors. For a civil case, there are usually 12, but sometimes fewer.
Let me remind the jurors about their obligations.
You need no special training to be a juror, but you'll follow some rules. During the trial, until you begin jury deliberations, you can't discuss the case with anyone. If someone connected with the case does try to discuss it with you, either inside or outside the courtroom, you'll need to tell the judge or the bailiff. You'll keep your mind open and not make a decision until hearing all the evidence. You can't investigate the case independently by going to the scene or seeking out information on your own.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the evidence will show that the accused did in fact open...
At first, you'll hear the attorneys make opening statements. These are not evidence, but rather their accounts of what the evidence will show.
Your Honor, I would like to offer these emails into evidence and this computer from which these
Then,
emails were
the
retrieved.
attorneys submit the evidence for you to consider. Evidence may be exhibits, documents, or material objects.
Your Honor, we call Detective Thomas Ramirez to the stand.
Evidence also may be the testimony of witnesses. They give their first-hand account of something they've seen, heard, or experienced themselves.
Objection, Your Honor. This witness has no...
Attorneys may make legal objections to the way evidence is presented.
Objection sustained. The jury will disregard that last...
The judge decides, either overruling an objection or sustaining it, meaning accepting an objection. You may hear the testimony of a number of witnesses.
Okay, let me see if I got this straight. You say that at the moment of impact you saw a blue flash?
Yes, that's right.
And then what happened?
You'll weigh what is important and what is the truth. You will use your everyday common sense.
We have conclusively...
After all the evidence is presented, you'll hear closing statements by the attorneys. These statements are not evidence. They are points of view.
You heard the evidence. Mr. Williams acted to save a life. He had to move quickly.
These points of view may oppose each other.
That's what he did. And you...
Only a jury can decide.
Members of the jury, you have heard all of the evidence, and now it is my duty to instruct you on the law that applies to this case.
The judge will instruct you on how to reach a decision based on the evidence. The judge will explain the law and the degree of proof needed to make a decision.
Trying to come to some sort of agreement with 12 complete strangers, I thought that was an interesting part. That was probably my favorite part of the whole thing, was the deliberations.
You'll deliberate as a jury in private, at last free to discuss the case. Often, a guide booklet is available to help organize yourselves as a group.
Okay, who's going to be the foreperson? I think that's the first step to get us going.
You may organize yourselves as seems best.
Now, I'm supposed to make sure that everyone gets a chance to hear everybody's opinions or questions right at the beginning. Does that sound okay? Does it make sense?
It will be your duty to give your opinion and also to listen to others. Everyone counts.
And that's very important, to speak your mind when you are in that phase of the trial. It's very important because you are affecting other people's lives, and you need to have your say.
Let's all take another vote. We're so close to a verdict now. Don't you agree?
If you are deliberating a civil trial, only 3/4 of the jurors must agree to reach a final decision.
Okay, here's the count. We have...
In a criminal trial, the vote must be unanimous to reach a verdict. Everyone must agree.
Remain seated and come to order. Department 4 is now in session.
Has the jury reached a verdict?
Yes, Your Honor, we do have a verdict.
Please hand it to the deputy.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will now listen to the reading of the verdict, omitting title of court and cause. We, the jury, in the above entitled cause, find
the decision of the jury has been made. Justice has been served.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, before I discharge you from your duties as jurors, I want to thank each and every one of you for your careful attention.
After the judge discharges you, you are not required to serve on a jury again for at least another year. It's often a deep and moving experience to be on a jury. Many jurors stay in touch afterwards.
I had such a good experience that I think you'll have a good time when you do it yourself. I came out feeling very positive, more confident about the system, and if I was called back in again, I would be there to help out our community.
You could have watched movies and seen juries in action in a movie, but it's not quite the same, and I think there's no substitute for experiencing it yourself.
I felt good about myself, actually. I felt good that I was able to put some, at least what I thought was common sense in the jury's minds.
Justice. Of the people, by the people, and for the people. You make these ideals real by serving on a jury.